Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is titled, What Good-Looking Woman Would Be Interested in a Geeky-Nerdy Physics Student? Now, I started out in nuclear physics. I was going to be a nuclear physicist, and Heisenberg's uncertainty principle kind of did me in, and I changed over to engineering. But at the time, I was a nerdy physics student. Now, this picture, you might want to ask, where did this picture come from? Well, this is what happens when your friend from high school, both of you are photographers, gets hired as the head photographer at the Iowa City Press Citizen. So he was out taking a picture. We're actually watching a house burn, of all things. I got my police radio there listening in on it, and that was a Saturday afternoon entertainment. But anyway, I met Chris second semester. Now, Ed Bracestead was a medical student, and first semester he was talking to this young lady, and I came up, started talking to her, and we dated for 3 or 4 months. And we broke up. Second semester, we met in church. We were in church during Lent, and we both decided to go, and she's there talking to Ed. And I come over and start talking to her. I think Ed was beginning to kind of hate me, but this was the last one I took from her because we ended up being much more involved. So anyway, we met in church and we started dating. And here's a picture of her when we were dating. We're in the physics building here. I'm operating the Engine 5 satellite, and she accidentally commanded it into high rate. She thought she had broken it and jumped back. I talk about that in another video, but we're going along. We're dating there, and I decide that, I'm not so excited about physics, and I'm going to change over to electrical engineering, which I'd always kind of had an interest in. Well, this is our wedding rehearsal dinner, and yeah, that geeky guy in the center, that's me. There's my wife to be there, Chris, and there's my mom over in the side. Now, you're probably wondering, you think this might be an unusual relationship. Now, I need to explain something. She was a nursing student. I'm an engineering student. Nurses take care of people who can't take care of themselves, and that pretty much describes engineers. So really, it was a perfect combination. So here we are. We get married June 5th, 1971. And we're both 20 years old. She was of legal age, so she could legally get married. I was underage, so my parents had to sign for me, give me permission to get married. Boy, can you believe this? It's amazing. We've been together now. We're coming up on 55 years. We've known each other this February 27th, and we often celebrate that as our anniversary, and I'll explain in a second. But our real wedding anniversary, of course, is on June 5th. Now, talk about somebody in their 20s who has absolutely no concept of failure. We got married when I still had 2 years of college to go. I had worked tracking the satellite, so I'd made a fair amount of money, saved it all, so we had money to live on. We only needed 1 year, and she was going to get graduate from nursing, so she was going to be a nurse. So we got married, and we lived the first year on savings while we were both going to school, and she graduated. Now she's a nurse. Okay, I graduate a year later, and I'm going to go right into the Air Force, and she's pregnant. Okay, so we'd been married a little bit over a year, and she got pregnant, and my sister asked me, what took you guys so long? Yeah, right. Okay, so here I am. I haven't graduated from college. I'm going into the Air Force. The washout rate is 25%. I have no concept of failure, and she's pregnant. So, boy, talk about taking your chances. So there's Mark. He's the little guy on top. That's a picture shortly after he's been born. The one on the right is when I'm actually in pilot training, and he's a little older. Now, we've been together for a very long time, and a lot of things happen. You develop friendships. Now, on the left, that little dress, that is the dress that my wife wore to her first day of kindergarten. And the other lady there had the same identical dress. Now, as my wife said, if we would have showed up in the same dress in high school, we'd have hated each other. But since it was the same dress in kindergarten, we became the bestest of friends, and they remained lifelong friends. The other picture here, well, that's an early friend of ours. They got married about the same time, but unfortunately, they ended up getting divorced. My wife has still maintained friendship there because she was a nurse, so we still exchange Christmas cards. But you know, friendships, especially over long periods of time, undergo a lot of change for various reasons. And people you have as friends sometimes drift away, sometimes they remain, but often due to circumstance, moving and stuff, friends drift away. So here's my wife. That's a Thunderbird T-38 there that actually had been taken from Vance and used by the Thunderbird. And this was a picture taken shortly before the crew chief came up and said, "Get that kid off the elevator. It's going to scratch the paint." Okay. Well, here we go. You go on with life. Your kids graduate from high school. I got out of the Air Force, but the nice thing about being an airline pilot is you can go on all sorts of nice adventures. So here's taking my daughter to Paris. There's my youngest son working for a passport agency over in England, handling passports that were kind of under difficult circumstance, if you were. A lot of the, let's say, rock stars have interesting issues with passports because of some background they may have acquired because of their various habits. And of course, you can have a lot of fun. I became a member of the Society of Experimental Test Pilots, and that's my wife and me on the left. Those of you who are familiar with my committee stuff, that's Terry there, who became my vice chairman and took it over. And that's good old Mr. Shoemaker there, who helped both Terry and I with our applications for the Society of Experimental Test Pilots. He's passed away, unfortunately, but absolutely great guy for helping us out. And the nice thing about these meetings, you get to meet a whole bunch of neat people. That's Bob Gilliland there, the chief test pilot on the SR-71, and boy, did he have stories, and I've talked about a few of those. And in the process, I was awarded the Best Technical Payloader of the Year award by the Society of Experimental Test Pilots. It was presented at their annual symposium. And there's my oldest son with my wife there, as we're aging here a little more. And she is with us on my son's checkout on the Airbus. I was doing his IOE, and she was actually able to ride along on that. And of course, we had various fun activities we're going along on. Here's out at San Diego at a nice little old town restaurant. I'm a supporter. We're a supporter of the local theater group and that. So when you give these guys money, they tend to give you a few perks, and you get pictures taken with the presentation people. And there's my oldest son, who became a United Airlines pilot. I taught him how to fly, from towing him in gliders to soloing him and preparing for his private commercial and instrument. And there he is after I retired, bringing back my second 310 that I had bought. And here is my wife. We're at a restaurant up at Mackinac Island in the hotel there, the main hotel that was in somewhere in time. We're having dinner there on her 60th birthday. And of course, like I said, friends come, friends go. We have a lot of fun going to parties, friends who celebrate New Year's with us. And we also have friends who are involved in musical aspects. This was the Bourbon Country Group. The lady in the center there is the lead singer. Her husband is up there. This is on break. She came down, sat with us. We're having dinner there. And her husband is next to my ear there. And then, of course, the family grows. And this is my youngest son there with his wife and children. And my wife there and her parents. And here we are out in Denver with our daughter again, and enjoying things. We would get together get the whole family together out in San Diego. That seemed to be the easiest place to get to. And we would have a good Christmas together, usually celebrated after Christmas because it was hard for everybody, especially airline pilots, to get Christmas off. So we'd get the whole family together. And also supported the Elgin Symphony Orchestra. I was actually on the board of directors there for a while, and we were choosing a new maestro That's my wife there in the center, and the on the far left is the principal violinist, and on the other side is another one of the violinists, and that was one of the maestros that we were interviewing. We went through 9 before we selected one. And of course, traveling out to San Diego with my youngest son. He lives out there, lakeside, and going out there to visit him and the kids. And of course, the nice thing about airline flying, we can go visit a lot of fun places like the Parthenon. And we'd get a family picture when we'd get out to San Diego together. And my oldest son, who's the airline pilot, we had come for our place for Thanksgiving. We'd get together for that. And of course, we're getting older here, as you can tell. That's the marriage picture again. But this was actually the 49th wedding anniversary they put up there on the marquee at the Rao Center. And one thing living on the lake is we have concerts during the summer every Tuesday night. So we take our boat up there, we beach it. I've got a grill on the boat, and we'll have burgers or whatever, burgers, brats in that, and then listen to the concert and drink copious amounts of alcoholic beverages. And there's some other friends. Now, of course, things can interfere with friendship. If you notice the lady on the far right, she has now passed away. She had pancreatic cancer. She actually did quite well, but it was kind of a, she's not doing well, and, we know we're going to lose her. So that's the unfortunate thing. And then, of course, here's some other friends of ours. She's the woman there is plays violin in the Elgin Symphony Orchestra, and her husband is a nurse, works emergency room, stuff like that. And of course, I have my final flight where I take the whole family out to Maui for a week, and there's my daughter and her family and husband. And we're having meals out there. There's my wife, and of course, one of the nice things about family is the grandkids coming along. This was a recent trip where we went out to Florence and Venice. Of course, you can't go to Venice without doing the touristy thing. So here we are on the gondola. All right. I drove my vet to Lifetime Fitness, and I'm getting out there, and I'm walking in, and there's a guy and his son. And he says to me, well, I just told my son that you're probably divorced, and that's why you got a vet. And I said, well, no, actually, I was the secretary and goodwill chairman in our Corvette club. And I said, actually, Corvettes aren't cheap. And everybody in the Corvette club, it was funny, I didn't quite realize it, but everybody in the Corvette club was still married, and usually to their first wives. And I thought, at the time, hey, I've been married 50 years, and a lot of these people had me beat. But my wife said, I finally wanted to get a vet, and my wife said, you can have anything, get any type of vet you want, as long as I get to pick the color. And she liked this Long Beach red, and I agree, it's a very nice color. So I chose a convertible Z06, 650 horsepower, and it's in the hangar right now being stored for the winter, but it is a fun vehicle to drive. And there's our 50th wedding anniversary. We went back to Iowa City where we had met. And the interesting thing about that is the church that I grew up in, St. Patrick's, was hit by a tornado and destroyed. The school that I went to, St. Patrick's, was sold off to, once the church was gone, they sold all the property for commercial development, so that's gone. The church we were married in, St. Thomas More, was sold to the university, so that's gone. The restaurant where I proposed to her and we had a nice steak dinner, the restaurant is actually still there. It's vacant because the motel is still there. But so our marriage survived. The school I grew up in, the church I went to, the church I was married in, and the place where I proposed. Usually, it doesn't work that way. And of course, I mentioned the fact that we celebrate February 27th as our anniversary because I'm getting ready to go into the Air Force. Okay, my wife is due, but we're right in the thing of, well, we've got our doctor here in Iowa City. Do we suddenly go to Enid, Oklahoma, and find a new doctor? So he says, well, why don't we induce? And for him, it was convenient to induce on June 5th. never did we realize that for now it's been 50 years, we would share our oldest son's birthday with our anniversary. So when we call up our oldest son on his birthday, we say happy birthday and he says happy anniversary. Those are tied together. So now we're coming up on this summer 53 years. And we're going out to a show tonight at the Row, but our normal kind of event is in the evening. We like to watch movies or TV shows and stuff like that. So we'll gather up with a blanket on the couch, have a glass of wine or so, and watch some TV for the fun evening. So that is for those of you that were asking about my wife and how could you find a woman who would put up with a guy who does all the weird stuff you do. Well, I just don't think she knows any better, probably. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking through to it. I hope you found it interesting, amusing, and enjoyable. Thanks for watching.